So why did I move out of Korea after living there for 5.5 years? The video everyone and their mother has been waiting for. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything in this video, you guys know it's just not.
So she's been living in South Korea for 5.5 years. We're gonna find out why she left. Just to let you know, I've been living in Korea for well over a decade, going on a decade and a half. I'm gonna give you my perspective.
My style, but also keep in mind that it's kind of hard to explain everything in one video, so it's going to be a longer one. Get a cup of coffee, make some tea. Basically, two of the most important reasons were: number one, working most office jobs in Korea is just not logical as a foreigner. Unfortunately, a lot of companies, even the ones that seem very nice at first, at the core are very racist. They will always see you as the disposable foreign employee, and that's if they even hire you, because in most cases, even
Now, I've only worked in education in Korea. Working an office job, I heard that is completely very different. Like, very, very different. And again, kudos to her, because getting an office job in Korea as a foreigner is not an easy task. And for her to pull it off, I'm assuming for the majority of the time that she's been living here, I give her respect. So I'm going to listen because I have never worked in an office before.
if you're experienced, skilled enough to get a position, they'll just straight up tell you that they're not looking for a foreigner for this position. That is very normal there. It's not even considered racism. You probably have heard of how hardcore their work culture is with overtime and this and that. And if you're okay with that, if you have it worse back home, by all means, but respectfully, I'll just take my ass to another country that gives me more than 50 lousy vacation days a year, which I have to use every time I get sick because there are no additional sick days or anything. So for example, when people get COVID, they just wear a mask and still show up because no one wants to give up their precious vacation days. So we can all be sick together and be more miserable than we already were. I actually had a really great time at the second.
So when it comes to the toxic work culture in South Korea, a lot of her points are valid. And that's kind of my issue with her opinion, is because we all got internet. We can all do research. The work culture in Korea is going to be like this. It is extremely rare to find a Korean company that's not going to operate like a 100% Korean company. So you should already know that as a foreigner, I always say this as a teacher working at a university, and I always keep this in the back of my head. It takes one ajashi to wake up one morning on the wrong side of the bed and be like, you know what? Let's get rid of all the foreigners. And there's nothing we can do. I always keep that in the back of my head. For her situation, I know she knows that's what you're going to have to deal with when you work in a Korean company. And it's not foreigner exclusive. There's no sick days. Even when I was working in elementary school, now I'm working at a university, there's no sick days. You better get your butt to work. Like she said, put on a mask, perform, work, and go home. There's no sick days. And vacation in Korea, Koreans don't even know how to vacation properly. It's very hard because they're so used to the Bali culture and working and grinding. Koreans will take a 3-day trip to Japan, and that's their vacation for the year. I know so many Korean friends who, when they take vacations, they come back, they pay extra at the airport from the country they're vacationing, so their bag can come out of the baggage carousel first. Why? So they can grab their bag and go to work. Directly to work, right off the plane. Me, now, whenever I book a vacation, I need a vacation from my vacation. I need at least 2 days before I go back to work. That's just me. Koreans don't play like that. And I know she knows this too. Very nice girl though, but I know she knows this.
company that I worked for, the job itself, the people, 10 out of 10. Felt like high school every single day, but these things were still true despite how happy I was there. My first workplace though can go directly to hell. I have nothing nice to say. Number two, I was not happy to be a part of that society. I think I have to be really careful trying to explain what I mean here, because unless you live, nothing nice to say. Number two, I was not happy to be a part of that society. I think I have to be really careful trying to explain what I mean here, because unless you live there, it just might not make sense. I think compared to a lot of places that I've been to, Korea and the Korean society has become very robotic with this lack of empathy even for each other. Or maybe I should say Seoul, because I think it's the way of life there that makes people very disconnected from each other, caring only about things like wealth, status. I've seen an old woman in the middle of an Olive Young faint and not one soul try to help. I mean, people...
She has a point. She absolutely has a point. Koreans can come off as very robotic. Extremely robotic. You got to understand, and you heard me say this before, Koreans are very intense people. And whatever they do is intense. Efficiency is very important. And if you want to maximize efficiency, do you want to know who's very efficient? A robot. Even the movements are efficient. Like, they just go, 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 and they do the same thing over and over and over again. And it is very robotic. I have to agree with her with that. And I want to say this Korean say 차가워 사람들, the cold people, that might be a Seoul thing. It is changed. Like, Busan was a lot more warmer when I first came, and I see it like every year. It is getting a little bit more standoffish. So I can only imagine how Seoul is. So to hear this story about Ajumma falling down or grandma falling down Olive Young and everyone just looking at her, that is crazy to me. I really hope there's a good reason for that.
My age, and when asked what's your dream, 95% of them say just to be rich and that's it. People are buying designer in like 6 installments. They even like rent bags. They're always after the new thing, the new capitalistic excitement. They're afraid to be an outsider, so I just had a really difficult time trying to connect with the local people there. I think I was much more extroverted before I moved there, but I just didn't want to meet my friends just to talk about the new bags they wanted to buy, the new cafes they wanted to go. And honestly, it wasn't even the language barrier. I've been learning Korean since I was 14. Spent a good time understanding their history and culture. So when I moved there at 18, I was already fluent. I never had any issues making Korean friends, even at university, but I just had a difficult time connecting with them. Still, somehow I had a great social life. I had a lot of friends that I just loved dearly. And I'm still sad that I had to leave them, but looking back, most of them were just foreigners anyways. And on top of that, you might have seen my bank crash out, but every time you go to the bank, to any formal office, you just run into more and more problems because you're a foreigner. In those 5.5 years, I just overall did not feel welcome. So I always thought to myself, I should move somewhere with more diversity. And I know these days no country welcomes immigrants with a warm welcome. I'm not stupid. But you know what? I just figured with overall what I was getting out of it, it really was just not worth all the trouble living there. And that is mostly it. Also, the lady that lived below me had a terrible smell and I just couldn't take it anymore. Yep, that's it. Bye. So why did I...
So she said a lot there. So let's go back to the consumerism in Korea. Consumerism is everywhere. But what did I just say? Everything in Korea is more intense, and she's absolutely correct. The consumerism to keep up the chaemyeon, their image in Korea, and she's right. There will be people who are living in a one-room studio with designer stuff because they're just installing, like they have it. They call it halbu. When you pay on your credit card, you can get 6 months free depending on the credit card you use, whatever. 6 months free, interest free, whatever. So if you're buying a $1,000 bag, you can split up in 6 payments. It's kind of like a Clara or buy now, pay later, but right away on your credit card with no interest. So that is correct. But I will say this, like I always say, there are a lot of good people out there, and you gotta find your tribe. You gotta find your tribe, and this is why you have to really focus on expanding your network as much as you can. As much as you can. And you don't need a lot of friends. You just need a couple good friends. Then a whole bunch of acquaintances is fine. And I feel her. Like, it's frustrating sometimes. And I've heard, especially for women, it's harder to make friends in Korea. it's harder. It's much more difficult to make friends in Korea. The reason why I'm laughing like this is because one of my old, he has now left Korea, but he's married to a Korean, and he's always talking about Korean marriage life, and he says that in Korea, your Korean wife will normally not have any friends. They cannot keep friends. Take that however you want, but I don't think it's just Korea, because even in other countries too, I feel like it's a lot more easier for guys to make friends than women. So yeah, and again, there's no language barrier here. So a lot of what she's saying, I'm gonna believe her 100%, because once you kind of break the language barrier, you really are just meeting people. Like now you can speak to them in their native tongue and kind of find out exactly what's on their mind without that language barrier. And I've had these issues too. However, maybe because I'm in Busan, smaller city, it's easier to meet people. But again, in Seoul, there's a lot more people to meet. You gotta find your tribe. You gotta find your tribe. Let me know your opinion down below. As always, I link the original creator down below. You can watch her part 2. And you can keep up to date with the free K360 newsletter. Find out what's happening in your city and beyond. Also, the Busan Cheat Day Party happening at the Bay 101. This is an outdoor day party for the athletic community. Very unique party. Click the link down below to find out what's happening.